Sacred Mass, Chapter 68, settling in to a new life together. Ginger said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Helmer, but your ex is very, very big and scary, and I thought that if I played dead, he wouldn't hurt me." "You did well, Ginger. Don't extend to try to be civil," said Helmer, kissing his lover. "Liam is complicated, but he's not a bad person. You don't need to be afraid of him." They eyed the picnic basket with amusement, and a woman entered the room as soon as Liam left, and Helmer, recognizing the woman, said, "Astorgas." "Yes, do be nice to my Liam, dear Ginger," said Astorgas, "and by, your father's no longer the high priest. He is disgraced but not dead." "I have no father," barked Ginger. "And would you like to marry my daughters?" asked Astorgas. "Lady, you are crazy. I just got out of an arranged marriage. I am not about to jump into another," said Ginger, laughing. Astorgas opened the picnic basket and she uncorked the wine and she drank it, and then she handed the drink to Helmer. Exquisite. She then started to eat the sausages compulsory, and when she stopped binge eating, she said, "The marriage is only on paper, and Helmer is married to my daughter for financial and political benefits." Helmer picked out a small sausage to nibble on. As for Ginger, he picked an above-average sausage. Astorgas, chuckling, picked the largest sausage in the basket to feast upon it. And smiling, she said, "What do you think of my offer?" "Why me?" asked Ginger. "Because my daughter needs more than 2 queens in order to be taken seriously as Dragon King," lied Astorgas. "And traditionally, each Dragon King has on average 3 to 6 queens. And Sylvia now only has 2, and she's in a very precarious political situation. She needs to show strength and masculinity, otherwise her enemies will become emboldened and they will strike her down." The sad fact was that this marriage was meant to protect Ginger. Dragon King Sylvia had nothing to gain from it. As a private citizen, Ginger's life matters much, but as a Dragon Queen, his life carried more weight. Astorgas brought from her pocket a large sack of coins and a letter, and she handed it to Helmer, and then she said, "Here's some spending money, and the letter details the information of your bank account. You can make withdrawals at your leisure and try not to spend recklessly." "That won't be necessary," said Helmer meekly. "I make my own money now, just not a lot of it, and I got into the bad habit of working for free sometimes." "As you wish," said Astorgas, and Ginger took the sack of money from the lady and said, holding it protectedly, If he doesn't want it, I want it." Helmer laughed heartily as well as Astorgas, and on that note, Astorgas departed to go speak with Liam, and when Liam returned to the shop, he found Astorgas devouring the merchandise. "Astorgas," said Liam, surprised, "and you better have money to pay for all those cookies you're eating." "They are so delicious," said Astorgas, bringing out a sack of coins. "I just can't stop eating them." "Do you need some help, Astorgas?" asked Liam, concerned. "Oh, it's just awful, Liam, just awful. The throne, it has imprisoned our Princess Sylvia, and I tried to get her to leave it, but she says that now's not a good time to destroy the monarchy. And she wants to help Botan, and she wants to help Ginger, and then she will leave, and at this rate she's gonna turn into you," said Astorgas, crying. Liam hugged Astorgas, and then he said sadly, "I'm sorry about Sylvia. We tried our best, and it is her life to live. And Princess Sylvia is old enough to decide her fate." Astorgas added vehemently, "No, she isn't. She's only 17, and I'm not ready to lose my daughter, and I must think of a plan to get her out of this sticky situation." "Do you need my help?" asked Liam meekly. "Yes. Pack me all of those cookies, and I need plenty of brain fuel in order to come up with a plan," said Astorgas. Liam packed all of the freshly baked cookies, and then he insisted, "I can help you with Sylvia too, Astorgas." "Nah, this is my burden to bear, and I just want a little bit of music from you, and when I come to gorge myself on your sweets. And if you see a bad guy or something, call the guards," said Astorgas, petting Liam's short hair maternally. And then Astorgas and Liam spent the rest of the day reminiscing about old times. After being rescued, Ginger became a bit shy with him, and it seemed as if he was always on the verge of saying something important, but he was afraid to speak. And the months rolled lazily by, and at the end of the fall, a tournament was held in Wallen. And this one was particularly special because they were going to have a competition to see who would be the next Arch Magus. And Helmer had made a public statement about the issue, and he no longer wanted the title. And he had confessed to the fact that he had abandoned the past years ago, like the past of magic. The only spells he knew were the ones he could perform blindfolded, and the others had slowly ebbed away. And in addition to the title, the tournament also offered a huge reward money and a replica of the secret mask. The mask was a symbol of magical prowess, and Eddie had performed his most powerful magical feat was sporting the mask. And he was considered to be one of the strongest mages in the continent. Some even suspected that his powers rivaled that of the Arch Magus Helmer. When the tournament rolled in, everyone in Wallen expected for Eric to participate, and Eric instead played host, and he showcased to the participants the replica mask. Another person that did not participate was Helmer, which was a breach in tradition, and neither Allan, Caron, nor Gregory bothered to enter the magic portion of the tourney. And this is not to say they did not compete in other events. And Julian once again had decided to compete, and he had goaded everyone into participating in at least one competition for his own amusement. The tournament always opened with jousting, and it was in this event that Gregory participated riding Stormfina. Gregory wore a different armor, a golden one he called Pandora, and Gregory naturally won. And when he removed his helmet, the people of Wallen were able to look upon the face of the sad, melancholic, single-father, mediocre magic teacher and painter of slugs, and other creepy crawlies. Those who had seen Grimory in battle realized that Gregory had been Grimory all along, and Grimory was always undefeated in the jousting competitions. And the way that Gregory held his lance, and how he arched his body on the horse, and the way he dismounted, there was not a shadow of a doubt Gregory was denied Grimory. Allan and Caron too had participated in the tournament, but as swordsmen, and the two had been practicing, and they wanted to see how they had progressed. And they made it to the semifinals, and then they were having to face one another, and instead of fighting, the two removed their helmets and their keys before leaving the arena. When the crowd started booing, Psycho Allan shot a stink spell in their direction, and the crowd of party poopers were covered in a yellow stink cloud that smelled like sulfur. And it was one of the joke spells that Gregory had recently taught his friend Allan. Allan laughed and raised his middle finger at the ground, and then he threw his husband Caron over his shoulder. He slapped that rear end before departing with a smile on his face. Helmer too did participate in the competition along with Ginger, and Helmer had been teaching Ginger how to use a bow and arrow, and in order to give his lover support, Helmer also signed up on the same competition. Helmer in no pecking order, and he placed himself beside Ginger, and since he was still technically the Arch Magus, nobody was eager to complain about what he did. Ginger shot his first arrow, almost hitting center, and Helmer took aim, and he pierced right to Ginger's arrow. And when he was bound, Ginger had missed the mark altogether, and Helmer, after calculating a big shot, his arrow through Ginger's misplaced arrow. And by now it was pretty obvious to the crowd that Helmer was not there to truly compete. And despite Helmer's teachings, Ginger placed at number 10. And on the way to the seating area, a crowd of people passed, and they stumbled against the two lovers. And when the crowd passed by, Helmer did not see Ginger, and he placed his hands to her face, and a wave of despair fell upon him. He had fed all of his mana to the elementals that morning, and so they were pretty chill back at home, and he had no way of tracking Ginger without the raid or without his magic. And panic swelled inside of him. He brought out a little notebook he carried with him, and the notebook had sketches made by Gregory of all of the people that were important to the Arch Magus' life. And he went person by person asking for Ginger, and eventually he ran into Allan. Ginger was taken. He was probably stolen by those religious nuts. Oh, Allan, what am I going to do? My life is over. Calm down, Dad, said Allan, patting his father's head benevolently. How can you be so calm? Woe, it is I. Why am I so unlucky? Why do the gods hate me so? Oh, my poor Ginger. Oh, my poor Ambrose, said Helmer, still covering his face to cry. Those monsters murdered my Ginger, and I never got to show him how much I loved him. Dad, said Allan, laughing. Jeez, relax, your Ginger's right here. And right behind Allan was Ginger, and Ginger had lost Helmer in the crowd, so he had gone to look for Allan. And Helmer blushed, and he teleported back home, and then he returned soon enough for his Ginger, but then again he felt embarrassed, and then he disappeared again. And eventually he calmed down enough, and Ginger had a gleeful smile on his face. And Helmer opened his mouth to speak of the matter, but he felt ashamed. And the words came and went, and in the end he went back to the stands to watch the rest of the competition, with with the other companions. The next competition was the junior fights, and Julian, Hope, and Leda were together in the sword competition. And this time Julian had complete concentration, and Julian's fighting style was reserved. And he waited for his opponent to lunge at him, and he rarely bothered to swing his own blade. And he made it through all of the rounds without a single scratch. And Hope had an erratic, unskilled way of using his short sword, and says he had no formal training, only a lot of experience from the time he was homeless. And this erratic, formless way of fighting helped him advance up the ranks. And as for her, Leda, she was a hulking beast, and she crossed her opponents with the brutal swings of her great sword, and in the final she ended up facing off against Julian. Julian declined facing Leda. "I'd rather fight alongside you than against you, Leda," said Julian as he forfeited the match. And afterwards he went to sit beside his father. And Gregory hugged Julian, and then he said, "I am proud of you, my heart." "Don't you think that maybe Leda might be offended?" asked Caron. "I know her strengths and she knows mine," said Julian, smiling. The truth of the matter was that Julian already got teased enough at school because of his father. If he publicly lost to Leda, things would become a little too annoying for him to continue his education. And Gregory knew this, and he hoped that while winning the jousting competition, this might give Julian a bit of reprieve for his daily teasing. Jousting was considered a strong, manly sport, and with any luck, this would do away with some of Gregory's bad reputation. And Hope eventually lost in the semi-final, while Leda won the junior sword tournament. And Hope sat down beside Helmer with a disappointed look on his face. And Helmer smiled and said, "You did well, Hope." "But I lost. I did not even play," said Hope, crying. "And these play fights are not real battles, Hope," retorted Helmer. "And you are more of a fighter than they are, not them." Helmer patted Hope's head, and Ginger gave Hope a reassuring smile. And the days of the tournament rolled by uneventfully, and one day they had the Arch Magus competition. And the show was pretty flashy with the fires and the lightning and everything one would expect of offensive black magic. And there was one reserved candidate that had struck to teleportation and constraints attacks. And like Helmer, he had an elemental he had befriended, and the elemental had the form of a blue panther, with plumes of fire covering his spine, and his face had 4 eyes, and a unicorn horn in the middle of the forehead. And nothing was known about this Magus other than the name and the fact that he worked as a mercenary. The Magus had no formal magic education. He had been born a farmer, and his family had eventually died of a famine caused by the dregs of war. And he was the only survivor because an elemental had bothered to save him. And at the age of 21, Hunter and Lazuli had lived a hard, lonely life. And Hunter was tired of escort missions, of arresting bandits, and other low-paying missions. And since he did not have anything to prove his worth, it was difficult for him to get any high-paying contracts. And Hunter thought that if he became the Arch Magus in a public tournament, people would finally start taking him seriously. And while he waited for his next round run, Hunter made an attempt to strike a conversation with the former Arch Magus. Hunter said, "Master Helmer, what was it like being the Arch Magus?" "Everything was terrible for me after I won. I was an illusionist. Life was fun, but then he wanted me as an apprentice. And as the Arch Magus, I could not refuse him," said Helmer, remembering. "And I dueled him to avoid studying under him, above him, and inside of him." Hunter shuddered at the implications behind what Helmer had said. And like Sully had warned Hunter of the horrors that befell young apprentices, and that he was lucky not to have been able to afford entrance fee to the tower. And Hunter had only half believed Lazuli, and he thought that his friend and companion was just trying to make him feel better about his financial woes. But now here was the Arch Magus Helmer confirming everything that Lazuli had said. And Ginger petted Helmer to encourage him to continue being honest. Helmer sighed and said, "And why do you want to be the Arch Magus? Is it fame? Not worth it. Money? I can pay you twice the money price to not participate. You seem like a good kid, and I do not want something bad to happen to you." Hunter was thoughtful after hearing this, and he left Helmer alone to speak with Lazuli. And Lazuli said, "I told you it wasn't worth it, kid, and just look at the former Arch Magus, how pitifully he clings to that skinny lad, as if his life depended on him. He is strong, and yet he acts as if the slightest breeze would crush him. Do you really want that for yourself, Hunter?" Hunter sighed and said, "Yes." "What?" snapped Lazuli. I have been alone for a long time, and maybe it's time I settle down and find my own redhead to keep the bed warm at night, said Hunter. And I was planning on having more seed money to retire, but I think a modest home is more my style. And in the end, Hunter dropped out of the competition before the nobles became aware of his true strengths. And the competition ended, and a pompous satyr knight became the new Arch Magus. And the following day there was much celebration over the city, and Helmer was still refusing to talk about his latest declaration of love. And whenever Ginger tried to bring up the topic, Helmer would cover his ears or he would sing very loudly. He normally avoided parties, but he decided to go with his lover. Ginger had persuaded him to go and to entice others to attend to the party as well. And Gregory was sad and very lonely, and Ginger figured that if he got everyone to go, Gregory would be compelled to attend with his old friends. And with any luck, Gregory would find someone who could put up with him. The parties were the same as any other, with the dancing, the food, the games, and the loud conversation. And for the sake of familiarity, they grew chose to attend the one that was being hosted in the Sacred Mass Guild. And Gregory did get some attention from time to time, and his new face that spoke to him always started the conversation with this line, "You are Grimory, are you not?" And as to the eighth person that inquired about Grimory, a despondent Greg went to hang out with Caron and Allan, and the two were in the middle of dancing, completely oblivious of everyone. And when they saw Gregory approaching, they opened up their dance stands to allow the third person to join them. "How did it go? Were the fishes not biting?" asked Allan. "They wanted Grimory," said Gregory bitterly. "At least someone is having fun," said Caron, pointing in the direction of Helmer. And Ginger had given Helmer a simple letter with the words "I love you," and this had made the Arch Magus night. And Helmer normally did not like to sing in public, and the letter had given him the courage to sing, and Ginger played backup on the guitar. "We should bring them out more often," said Allan, "and my father could use a bit of music in his life." And while dancing, Allan thought he recognized a familiar silhouette, and he left Caron dancing with Gregory, and after following the person Allan was able to catch up with, and the person was wrapped in robes from head to toe. And smiling, Allan said, "Marina." "Hi, Allan," said Marina sadly. "Can you please not tell anyone you saw me?" "Oh, what's the matter? Did Joshua throw you out of the house as well?" asked Allan, laughing. "And you really have to learn to respect your elders." "I hit her dad. How can you be so casual about it?" asked Marina, crying. "Dad is not angry at you, Marina," said Allan. "He isn't," asked Marina meekly. "We are his kids. We can kick and control him. He will tolerate all of those abuses because of his guilt," said Allan. "And we should be asking him for permission to do stuff, not the other way around." "I know, but I'm such an idiot, Allan," said Marina sadly. "I know, sis. So am I, said Allan sadly. Allan filled his sister on all of the recent developments. As for Marina, she had become disenchanted with the whole religion thing. And following Sofina's advice, Marina had started to visit a listener. And after much venting, Marina realized that like Allan, she had a lot of pent-up anger towards her father. "Look, Marina, Dad is not mad at you for real, and he's happy even. And if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have gotten back with Ginger, and you should try to make peace with him," said Allan. "I'm gonna be staying with Josh and in bed until I build up my courage." Helmer noticed Allan talking with someone, and then he yelled, "Marina, Allan, I'm going home now." "All right, Dad, have fun," yelled Allan. "How long has he known that I'm here?" said Marina, making herself smaller. "Relax, sister. Yeesh," said Allan. The two went back to the bar to continue the conversation, and Caron and Gregory continued their dance, and from time to time Caron would look in the direction of Allan. And Gregory sighed and said, "I am tired. You go see about Allan, and I'm gonna get a drink." Gregory sat down at the bar, and his taciturn, melancholic brown eyes studied his drink without much enthusiasm, and his hair had regained its original mundane brown color, and he no longer had any visible scales on his body. His long tail hung lifelessly, echoing his melancholy. Hunter sat down beside Gregory, and for the entire night Hunter had been scouting for a proper target, and he had been analyzing the uninhibited temperaments of those assembled, and Lazuli too had been helping Hunter scout for a proper mate. And Lazuli had suggested a few eligible bachelors, but they had turned out to be drunken louts. And a few years ago, Hunter had gotten out of an abusive relationship with a drunkard, so he naturally wanted to stay away from anyone that looked remotely inebriated. And it was then when his keen eyes noticed Gregory at the bar, and Lazuli drew closer and he scouted Gregory's drink. "It's just a ginger ale," said Lazuli. Hunter sat down beside Gregory, and Gregory eyed Hunter from head to toe. Hunter was muscular, but he wasn't a beefcake like Allan, and he was only a few centimeters taller than Gregory, and his black hair was short and well kept, and the facial features were nothing special, but he had intense blue eyes. The eyes that tended to unnerve people, and his hygiene was impeccable as noted by his manicured hands, silky skin, and thick, well-groomed eyebrows. His brown outfit, though simple, had a certain elegance about it. Gregory made eye contact with Hunter, but he quickly looked away, and Hunter sighed at this common reaction to his eyes. The barkeep near Hunter handed him a slip of paper, and Hunter opened it and he read, "He is shy." Hunter studied Gregory from the corner of his eye, and he had seen Gregory in the adjusting tournament, and he had been impressed by his skills. Yes, Hunter liked the idea of having a handsome, shy knight for himself. And even if a relationship did not blossom that night, Gregory would certainly be useful for passing the time. And it was then when Hunter noticed the long, elegant, skinny tail. And as was his habit, Hunter started to overanalyze his approach, and an hour passed, and Hunter had not said anything to Gregory, and from time to time he would make eye contact with Gregory, only this time it was Hunter who was looking away. Lazuli manifested near Gregory, and Gregory smiled, and he patted the blue leopard-looking elemental. And Gregory turned to look at Hunter, and he asked, "What's your friend's name?" "Lazuli," said Hunter. "I am Hunter." "I guess as much," said Gregory, looking at Hunter's intense blue eyes. Hunter was about to speak, but Lazuli drew near him, and he whispered, "Whatever you do, avoid the name Grimory as much as possible. Don't mention him, don't even think about it. Gregory's a little sensitive about this Grimory personage." Hunter whispered, "Is he like his ex or something?" "Who knows? People seem to think he's Grimory, and when they ask him about Grimory, he gets disappointed look on his face," explained Lazuli. Gregory started laughing as he saw Hunter whispering with Lazuli, and smiling he said, "Is he your wingman? Does he give you all your lines, or can you speak with your own voice?" Hunter sighed, and then he tried a direct approach. "I am going to be straight with you. I like the look of your face, and I like your body. It has an interesting mix of feminine and masculine. And your tail, is it real?" "I don't know, you tell me," said Gregory, moving his tail about. And a fellow passed by, and he made a motion to pull at Gregory's tail, and the tail attacked on instinct, slapping the hand away. Gregory sighed, and then he started to leave. He stopped a moment, and then he said, "Aren't you going to stalk your prey, Mr. Hunter?" At this open invitation, Hunter followed after Gregory to the crowd. Gregory moved the net and flowed, and then he was out of sight. And Lazuli motioned to Hunter, and Lazuli had dragged Gregory up the staircase. And Eric and Sofina saw Gregory pass by, and the three exchanged quick words, and Eric handed a key to Gregory's old bedroom. And Eric had kept the room intact, and from time to time Gregory would sleep there whenever he was working on a painting project. And Gregory, for some reason, was thinking about Sunshine at the moment, and like Sunshine, Gregory was shy about his draconic heritage. And he had become even more certain about it after breaking up with Caron and Allan. And when Gregory reached the door to his room, he said to himself, "Any Helmer has his ginger, then what is my excuse?" "Did you say something?" asked Hunter, and when he drew near enough, he gave a slight caress to Gregory's tail using his index finger. Hunter smiled when he saw Gregory tremble, and the tail stopped turning left and right, and it lifted up. And Gregory opened the door, and then he turned on the gaslight, and the room was kept nice and clean by Sofina, who dusted it and cleaned it once every 3 days. "Well done, Hunter, you got him by the tail. Have fun, and don't forget he's shy. Bye." Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye.